Kyle Larson shared his perspective on what happened in NASCAR Overtime after he was involved in multiple cautions. Before we get to this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at John Trent Racing. Before we get to what Kyle Larson had to say, let's take a look at the first NASCAR Overtime here. Obviously, this occurred because Austin Cindric spun out, bringing out the caution, robbing the win from Denny Hamlin, who was able to get around Ross Chastain in the closing laps. On the next restart right here, we would see a huge battle between Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, and Ross Chastain, and Ross would end up being the big victim here. Let's take a look. See Larson shoving Hamlin down there into the corner, gets onto the apron, is unable to turn the car, drifts up the track, gets into Ross, sends him into the wall, rear end collision, and then Ty Gibbs kind of just cleans him out, spins him around, and then a bunch of wrecks after that. Obviously, Austin Dillon here running into John Hunter Nemechek. Ross putting his window net down and signaling that he is okay here, getting his helmet off, his steering wheel off. So that is kind of what we saw there. Let's take another look at it here real quick. You can see Larson shoves there, hits the apron, gets down, runs up the track into Chastain. Massive, massive collision there and wreck. Fortunately, Ross was A-okay. I couldn't find his interview, but if you watched the actual race, you saw he was asked by Kim Kuhn of NBC about what happened, and he basically said it was just hard, tough racing, and he was glad to be there racing for the win, especially there in Nashville where Trackhouse started. Didn't really kind of point any fingers at anyone. Is really trying to eschew any kind of drama. Kim Kuhn did her best to try and get Ross to maybe comment on Denny Hamlin, comment on Kyle Larson, etc. But Ross was basically just like, nope, glad to be up there racing hard. It's a racing deal. And we were glad to be there racing for the win. And it just didn't go our way. Thought it was a very professional interview. And I think that's exactly what happened. I think you have NASCAR Overtime. That's the way these things go. If you've been watching NASCAR within the last couple of years or even longer than that, you know that these NASCAR Overtimes get really hairy. And a lot of times they do indeed have 3 or 4 of them because these guys are just getting super, super aggressive and they're putting everything on the line. Here is another angle of it. This is the in-car camera. Obviously, Larson on the bottom, Ross Chastain on the top. Let's take a look at this here as well. See how fast it happened there, how hard that impact was. And yeah, it definitely was Kyle Larson trying to move Denny Hamlin up the track, getting him to go 3 wide. Hamlin probably knew that was coming and did a really good job of kind of blocking Kyle Larson and not allowing him to do that. Unfortunately, it ended up causing Kyle Larson to get super tight after he got onto the apron there, was unable to turn the car, and drifted up the track into Chastain and sent him into the wall. This is what Larson had to say to Bob Pockrass following the race. Pockrass, the Fox NASCAR insider. Let's take a listen.
One where you got into Ross. Can you kind of take me through that one?
Yeah, I was with Denny on the front, and I was just going to try and get into him to wash him off the bottom to give myself some clean air, because I knew just being second row, whether you're inside or outside, you weren't going to have a shot, and I thought my opportunity to give myself a chance to win was to get clean air on the nose. And yeah, I just ran in really deep, got tight, and drove into Ross. So, hate that for sure. And then the next restart, I just got really out of shape through the gears, and thankfully didn't cause a crash on the front stretch. And then the next one, we ran out of fuel and caused that wreck. So, hate that for Kyle. I had no warning. Well, obviously, we knew we were really close on fuel. It was going to be a stretch to make it, but I had no low fuel pressure alarm or anything on my dash, so it was a bit surprising to me. When I went to the throttle, it just never went. So couldn't really get out of the way either because we were still to the wall. Like I hadn't gotten to the dog leg yet to get out of the way. So yeah, I'm really, really bummed for him and all that because he needs the points. And then, yeah, thankfully we were able to work through the last couple restarts, get a top 10. But either way, bummed with how it all kind of ended up.
So that is what Kyle Larson had to say. I think that's a fair assessment, obviously kind of putting the blame on himself there, but also admitting that is indeed what he was trying to do. He was trying to wash Denny up the track. I feel like that we've seen this kind of happen before, and in many cases it actually does work. You're able to get that leader up the track, create that 3 wide, and then the car on the bottom is able to kind of motor on by because they're not at top speed yet, or they're not all up to speed. So he's doing the shortest distance on the track, and he's able to really kind of squeeze the guy in the middle, and then maybe pull a little bit of a slide job on the guy up high. And usually you can win that way. And we've seen that a couple of times. I feel like even this year that has happened. So I don't blame Larson for trying that strategy. I think that's something that we've seen in the past. It's a very aggressive move, and it works out a lot of times. However, he's going up against Denny Hamlin, who's probably was well aware that that move was going to be attempted on him, and he was able to kind of shut it down. And unfortunately for Ross Chastain, he ended up being the victim in that, and he was just racing hard, trying to pin Denny down on the bottom and try and stay beside him so he could have that huge speed going down the backstretch and then into turns 3 and 4, where he maybe could pinch him down a little bit further and maybe bring it home there with that last lap, being able to complete the pass. But we'll never know how that happened, given the fact that Larson got tight, drifted up the track, took out Ross, and ended up putting him in the wall. And then obviously the gas, not really much you can do about that, except maybe somehow learn some tricks from Joey Logano, because he did over 100 laps on fuel and was able to win the race. Impressive fuel savings by Joey Logano. But let me know what you guys make, what Kyle Larson had to say here. Let me know in the comments below.